Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Inside Out 2 on Disney+. And I thought this was okay. It really kind of fell into the sequel trap of doing pretty much the same stuff that we'd seen in the first movie, but just a little bit different. I mean, it follows the same kind of basic premise of we have to deal with kind of new emotions and what kind of situations arise from them, and it's just the cast is kind of too expanded here. We get new emotions, but the main kind of focus is on the anxiety one, which works out pretty well. As someone that deals with kind of anxiety and stuff like that, I really saw myself with what was going on with Riley, with this kind of emotion kind of popping up, but it leads to everything else kind of being really condensed down. Like, this movie is like 143, an hour and 43 minutes, an hour and 46 minutes, so it's like 100-some minutes. It just feels so fucking too fast with certain kind of things. Like, we don't really get as much outside with Riley and her parents and her friends and everything kind of going on there that I would like. Or conversely, as much as I would like with the inside of her head either. Because joy and anxiety pretty much have the antagonistic role, kind of similar to what we'd seen with like joy and sadness before, as we pretty much get the rehash of like trying to keep Riley in a kind of healthy state, being introduced with a new kind of concept of the belief system of Joy still doing the stupid kind of stuff that she should have learned not to do in the first movie, utilizing even these kind of core memories that have like different emotions kind of wrapped up into them, but using ones that she deems worthy and then just punting stuff into the back of the mind. And them trying to protect Riley's kind of sense of self before anxiety and the rest of them pop up, because puberty button just fucking cracks off one night after Riley and her two best friends pretty much have a really good hockey game, and this coach is like, hey, I'm having this thing, why don't you come to it? It's like tomorrow for like 3 days. It's like, alright, I thought there was going to be a bigger blow up with her parents of like, hey, alright, but no, they're fine. And then she like goes to sleep, and then puberty is... I understand what they were attempting to kind of do with the puberty, but it kind of comes off more that Riley goes schizophrenic rather than a puberty kind of thing, where she's like going through all these different kind of emotions like at the drop of a hat. And the thing is, that can happen, but there's no kind of build up to it. She's like immediately like, oh god, I stink, I smell, crying and being pissed off and everything, all in like the span of like 3 seconds, as the mom's like, you're not packed up for anything, and they're just going complete blow up mode. And it's not like that can't happen, but it's how the execution comes into play of like, okay, as we see in her mind that the new emotions are popped out. They're trying to build up stuff, and anxiety pretty much starts to pretty much take over as shit starts going kind of nuts, as we see that she goes off with her friends to the hockey camp, but learn that they're going to a different high school than her, and that they're just trying to learn better, whereas Riley's like, oh, okay, and she finds like the star player, Val Ortiz. Let me see here. Yeah, Val Ortiz. And she's like this, she got onto the hockey team freshman year, whatnot, and they're the Firehawks and all this shit, and it's just like, okay. And seeing her trying to deal with everything, the friends being pretty much happy to be at camp, as the coaches then just going no nonsense mode. I'm like, okay. It's really strange when I'm like, just, you don't have to go that hard on them. They're kind of happy and excited to be at this kind of place. It's like, chill the fuck out, lady. As they're pretty much trying to accelerate and put drama and pressure on what's kind of going on. Having Riley be kind of the focus of that kind of stuff, where she's like, alright, here, put your cell phones in here. It's like, okay, that doesn't really teach them to manage their cell phone effectively. Most of it's the technology of like, they're gonna need it for like contacting their parents or whatnot. And you want to be the one that has to then unlock that shit out? Good luck with that. It just, okay. So, of course, the team's, she's feeling bad about all that kind of stuff and is trying to help out. And, of course, Anxiety goes completely thunder mode, takes everything over, punts the rest of them, tries to build this new kind of self where Riley is pretty much just negative as everything because Anxiety is trying to find and figure out and mitigate everything else kind of going on. We then see her linking up with the other ones, but Embarrassment is almost like a non-character that pretty much just does nothing. Envy just is some kind of like hanger-on of the Anxiety that really doesn't do much. And Ennui, they reduced Ennui down to pretty much calling it boredom. Now, granted, there are different kind of definitions with it, but let's see here. Merriam-Webster, a feeling of weariness or dissatisfaction, boredom. Oxford Dictionary, a feeling of listlessness and dissatisfaction arising from a lack of occupation or excitement. He succumbed to ennui and despair. It's a little bit more complicated in my opinion, and they don't really do much with ennui of just being like, I don't want to do this, and making it linked up with sarcasm. And then having this like this sarcasm, C-H-A-S-M pop up that was just mainly used to create a stopgap for the other emotions because they decide to go get Riley's sense of self because Anxiety punted that back to the back of the mind. And so the other emotions were pretty much locked in the vault and had to get out with a Blue's Clues looking motherfucker. And also Riley's crush on this kind of video game character, which was pretty much the only best kind of bit going out of there. And her dark secret of her burning a hole in a rug where Joy thought it was like peeing in a pool. They could have done something with that, but it just kind of fell apart. So we pretty much get our group trying to go back. They just punt Sadness into the control room to kind of bring them back when they need to, even though they don't really do that, and instead just create a flood of all the shit in the back of the memory, putting them all into the belief system. It was really kind of stupid. Joy coming to try and grips of being like, okay, they need to, she can't really truly be the leader, and she's trying to come up with all this shit. It's not working out. They don't spend enough time on that. I want that to be the kind of central kind of crux, but it's like, we see this, we see Riley going anxiety nutty, breaking into a place to try and look at the coach's thing, and seeing that the coach doesn't think that she's ready, and Anxiety doing this whole bit to be like, I need to score 3 goals, and I'll get on this team kind of thing, and her just like being an asshole during everything kind of going on, getting put into the penalty box, having the anxiety attack, and then Joy and the rest of them being able to kind of come back up, muscle control, reconfigure Riley's sense of self to even include the kind of newer kind of negative aspects, but trying to balance everything out as that kind of works on. Yeah, Sadness and Embarrassment pretty much brought them back up. But of course they finish out. She makes up with her friends. She makes friends with Val and them. There's this little kind of bit where they keep calling her Michigan even though she's from Minnesota, but they don't, Anxiety's like, I'm not going to correct them. And of course Ennui's trying to play off them liking the one kind of band, and it's like just such a condensed version of trying to be a teen that it loses that core aspect that they're attempting to try and do for me. Now, the thing is, most of these taken by themselves and in a vacuum, I don't have a problem with. But when you're stringing together this kind of 100-minute movie, it's just too much and too little going on at the same time. Still kind of linking up to what we've already done before. There's nothing really kind of new here. We sometimes see into other people's heads, like Riley's friends and all that, but that is fewer and far between. We do kind of look in on the parents' heads as well, but we don't really see even any of the majority of these different kind of emotions, which is really kind of odd. We didn't see these emotions before, In the other kind of movie, that's because we pretty much had set them up as these being pretty much the core emotions. Fine. I get that. And I get that introducing these other ones, some people have different kind of ways of dealing with them or whatnot. However, that needs to be showcased. Because we do get the mother's anxiety just popping up randomly just to show that like somebody else does have these other kind of emotions, even if they're kind of under some kind of check or whatnot. It would be kind of cool to see that, or see somebody where their main emotions are these kind of new emotions where they're more embarrassment, envy, ennui, nostalgia. The nostalgia bit kind of got a little bit stupid. Mainly with them kind of playing it off that like Riley is not old enough to have that kind of nostalgia, and I think that's kind of bullshit and downplaying kind of the formative experiences of children and moving into adulthood, because you would have nostalgia for certain kind of childhood things even if you hadn't been throughout that long, because it's still a kind of big part. Now I wouldn't have as strong as nostalgic emotions for certain kind of things that I liked as a kid, moving into a teen, and then moving from a teen, like moving from a teen, moving into an adult, and then having that kind of nostalgia for it. But I was just like, why are we playing this off? It's interesting to kind of play with this thing. It's just used as a smaller kind of gag, whereas in the first movie it was more tighter paced, tighter kind of controlled and everything, and you just didn't have jokes or whatnot that just kind of sat there. And the thing is, I don't mind the nostalgia one. It's just they could have done so much more with it, and I've had the expectations that from the first one they would. And I'm just, alright, she just keeps wandering in, and you're like, fuck off, bitch! Yeah, you're not supposed to be here until she's like 18 or whatnot. It's like, well, you just fucking popped up out of nowhere, asshole. You just got here today. What's your shit, man? Yeah. There's just a lot more potential that could have been had with this. And I mean, it's fine. It's a fine Pixar movie. I would put it at just like a kind of base level. It's not one that I would just outright dismiss and say that like you shouldn't watch it or whatnot. But if you watched Inside Out 1, you pretty much have Inside Out 2. Just not as well executed for me. And executing it for a teen, that's an important kind of bit, because you got to deal with a lot of crazy ass shit. You either lock yourself down and be like, I've got this, or you go fuck balls kind of wild and you're like, ah, or you're some kind of mixture of it where you got locked down on certain kind of things and you're like fucking gnarly on one other kind of thing, and you're like, what? And our objectives for the main cast for the emotions was just walking to the back of the mind. And sorry about you, fucker. Pardon me, that one of my lights has decided to flicker again, so that's just something I will have to deal with. But it didn't even go into any kind of like, I don't know, kind of Greek kind of epic or some kind of mythical kind of storytelling kind of thing of like linking up with what kind of goes on. You just have like the sarcasm. You got like the Imagination Land, which was a nice kind of one that they kind of linked up, where Anxiety's imagining all these kind of hard-ass scenarios, but then Joy was letting the other ones imagine some really kind of cool scenarios. And each other kind of one was just reduced to the point of just like, okay, if you saw them do stuff in the first one, they really don't give them much else to do with this one. Anger doesn't really have any cool kind of breakout kind of moments. Fear does the kind of normal fear stuff. Disgust does the usual kind of disgust stuff, and sadness gets utilized mainly as a plot device to get them back to the control room, even though she's not able to complete that task. There's too much going on here, and the focus is just scattered all over the place. Granted, that's a good kind of metaphor for teen shit going on, but when you're trying to watch like, that should be the story, not me talking about how the movie is, if that makes any kind of sense. Whereas, like, there should be a film about, like, somebody kind of going crazy, and it could fuck with kind of structures and all that, but it should have a kind of coherence to it, where it's like, everybody, there's, like, too many emotions, too many people outside of the emotions that you then have to deal with. It's kind of like when you get into kaiju movies and you've got like this giant cast of like characters or whatnot. It's like, I'm here to watch monsters fight. I'm here to watch fucking Transformers and the Autobots and the Decepticons deal with what kind of crazy ass shit's going on. Put the humans in the kind of back thing, write the story that needs to be done, and continue from there. Here, we need all these new emotions. We need the emotions that we had in the other one. We need Riley. We need to see what's going on with Riley's friends. We need to see what's going on with these Firehawks and what's going on with this coach. What's going on with Riley's parents. Just in the barest kind of sense because they're just in the back. And then we get this whole kind of fine thing, which is the typical kind of teen thing, because if you actually got into any of the kind of nuts and bolts, well, I kind of wanted them to get into the kind of nuts and bolts of, like, Riley attempting to kind of explain what was kind of cool or whatnot, or the parents being like, I love it. You're asked, how was your day at school? Or how was your day at such camp, this, that, and the other? Do you go into the kind of thing, or is it just, like, a bullshit kind of thing, like, oh, how was your day? Fine. And that was the kind of, like, extent of what they kind of wanted on. We just only get into their minds as like, oh, what's kind of going on? It's like, all right, they either don't want to go into it or nothing much happened. Like, I mean, people ask me about my day, and I'm like, I got nothing, man. Same as yesterday, day before that, probably gonna be the same as tomorrow. What up? Just doing my shit. You know, it's like, I wanted to see how deep Riley would go, what she would, like, facilitate on, what she would not tell, what she would tell, any kind of thing like that. But we don't have time to do that, because we need to end the movie. So, overall, I was disappointed in this movie, though I don't think it's completely and utterly bad. I have seen far, far worse movies. I have rented movies from Hollywood Video. Yes, I am an old fuck that is a dinosaur, that I didn't watch. I have gone to a movie in a movie theater and walked out because I'm like, this movie is stupid. Like the Hollywood Video one. I was like, this movie's kind of stupid. And I fast forward through it to see if it got any better. And it fucking didn't. And I'm like, nope, I'm done. Velocipaster. Nope. Fuck that. Holy shit. Like, there are bad ones where I'm like, ooh, boy. No. This one, if you're into Inside Out 1, and you're not expecting, like, earth-shattering changes, but, like, more of the same, you should be content with this. If you want to see a better kind of thing on the teen kind of experience, I would actually recommend more Turning Red as a better kind of teen experience kind of one that kind of works on that a little bit better, and changes of kind of relationships with parents, friends, all that kind of stuff. I think that was a better executed one. Yeah. But yeah, you'd be decent enough in the background or whatnot. I mean, I'm glad I didn't go to the movies to see it, and I had it on Disney Plus, and I've been waiting for it. I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. I'm like, and it happens. I mean, I still got enjoyment. There were still some jokes that were kind of funny. It was nice to kind of see the characters in the world again, but I was hoping for more. So those are my opinions on the movie. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.